My name is Jerald Martin. It's spelled Jerald. Middle initial W and last name Martin, just like the bird. Martin. It isn't about being in the military. It is what the military is there for. The military is there to keep this land free, to enforce the international laws. The most important part for a person is, am I able to do this? Or am I willing to do this? That's the biggest question. I was born in Rockford. Nearly died from pneumonia at about maybe 7-8 months. Got over that. Mother and Dad moved to Ohio. Then we went to Sandusky. That's where I started kindergarten. And I was always friends with this one or that one or the other one in the neighborhoods. We had a good time. Then we moved to Kenton, Ohio. In Kenton, I started first grade and went through to 5th grade. Came back to Rockford, I'm trying to think exact time. It was early 40s. And started school back here. And of course, I remember the beginning of World War II. Then we moved out on Woodrow Street and started going to the biggest rural school in the United States. In fact, I think it was the biggest rural school in the world at that time, Lincoln Park School. Then I went to Roosevelt Junior High, then West High, graduated there, started college. Of course, didn't have much money, but got a couple of years in. Worked on radios and TVs. I started when I was 14 doing that. A lot of it was rough work. And they'd hit me with a lot of the crazy things, just because I was able to do a lot. And from there, I went into the service. That was back in about 56. From there, I was in the Guards after I buried my best friend. I joined the Guards.
What was your friend's name?
Harold Thorne. I met him at Lincoln Park School the first year that I was there, and I'm trying to remember the exact year. 45, 46 is when I met him. Of course, I met a couple of his other friends. We were not that close as him, but we did have a lot of fun. We were so close that he was more like a brother than my twin. In the Bible, King David and Saul's son Jonathan, if you read how close they were like soul brothers. That's closer than just a brother, believe you. And that's the way Harold and I were. My favorite memory was when I scared the whips out of him. I was learning how to drive. We were coming out of Winnebago down Cunningham. Now, where the refinery is now, just a little bit west, there used to be a humongous S-curve. And it was trees all over the place. I hit that doing 50 mile an hour or more. And he just went like that down where he couldn't see. He was expecting. And when I come out of that, how did you do that? He says, I would have plastered this car everywhere. I actually drove him to Chicago. His wife and his mother were with me when I drove him up so that they could say goodbye. And little did I know that that's what it was going to be.
This would have been the last time that Harold's mother, Viola, would see him. She was known to go by her middle name Retha and passed away in April of 2013. Harold left not only his mother that day, but also 4 sisters and a brother.
Do you know what happened to him in Korea?
Yes, he was hit by shrapnel from a bomb, and evidently it tore him up pretty bad.
Harold Thorne passed away on July 15th of 1953 while fighting the enemy in Korea. He was born on September 9th of 1932 in Russell, Iowa, and died at the young age of just 20. His burial took place in Rockford, where his family moved to in 1941 when Harold was just around the age of 9. Around this time is when his relationship with Jerald began to grow. Harold was drafted into the U.S. Army and received the rank of private in the 15th Infantry Regiment, the 3rd Infantry Division. Private Thorne was awarded the Purple Heart, the Combat Infantryman Badge, the Korean Service Medal, the United Nations Service Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, the Korean Presidential Unit Citation, and the Republic of Korea War Service Medal. Along with this, he was recognized for his efficiency, fidelity, and honor. Harold will always be remembered as a great soldier and a phenomenal friend to Jerald.
When my best friend was killed in Korea, he came in a box. I was one of the pallbearers. And I'm telling you, it's one of the saddest moments of my whole entire life. The saddest one is if I outlive my wife and have to bury her. That will be the saddest. But that was very bad on me. And she was my girlfriend back then. And I got it in my craw. I don't want her to have to be under the regimes of the Nazis or any other group that wants to tell you how to do, what to do, and when you're going to do it. I don't want any dictatorships. So I knew the guards would be called up. Well, so I joined the guards. After a year and a half in the guards, nothing was really being done. So I signed active in the United States Army. That was back in about 56. But so Lieutenant, at that time, he looked at me and says, "Do you know what you're getting into?" I says, "Absolutely. That's why I'm here." "Okay, you're in." That was my oath. I didn't take any of the other legitimate oaths that they would say. Went to camp and I really got introduced to marching and all this business, basically boot camp. Went out into the wilderness and things like this. They trained us for physicalness, to get the strength up. My arms never did get big around, but they were strong. I could do 25 to 50 chin-ups. I could do 100 push-ups. I can do 1.5 today. But I found out for one thing. I went to that company and that group because I was partially handicapped. I had a heart murmur that was quite bad. That was on my record. And so they were trying to take things easy, but not too easy. Well, I come out of it, my heart's better than it ever has been. So, believe you me, the training that they give you and the manner in which they do it is controlled, but it is for your benefit. because you don't know what you're going to get into. The only time that I really was worried was in the infiltration course where they're firing the weapon, and you can hear the shells go over your head. This one kid was next to me. He says, "I'm getting out of here." I reached over, grabbed his collar, or actually right here, and I said, "No, you're not." I said, "You're going to finish this the same as I'm going to. Because I'm not leaving basic training until he does." But what caused the big problem is they set off one of their napalm bombs, which was right next to us, and all this flame and everything. It got to them. Well, we went on a little further, and they set off another one. He had settled down. We both finished. And was stationed at the Paramount Studios in New York, and did a lot of service on the electronic equipment that they use, more so than anything else. Once in a while we had to get behind the camera and actually do some work. And sometimes we'd be on the control panels because the guys say, "Well, it ain't working." Well, we'd show them it is working. And of course, the main thing I know you're wondering is, what did you do and why would you need a top secret clearance? They're at the Paramount Studios. I mean, they make pictures. Yeah. I was in on making the big picture, which was a big run on national TV.
Check. Checkmate.
I should know better than to play chess with a military man.
Fred, I've noted that you usually take pretty good care of yourself. I wouldn't worry about that.
No, I expected to play a friendly game of chess, and what happens? Suddenly, I'm up against Lieutenant General Albert Watson, Commanding General of the Third Army. Now, see, to me, these are formations of chessmen. The way you handle them, they're military installations.
Funny how people think of an army. Usually it's in terms of installations, numbers of troops, and masses of equipment. But an army is more than that, Fred. More than the numbers, the buildings, and the hardware. They don't begin to tell the story, not the real story.
Then there was the Get, Set, Go series, which was about, I think, 8 or 9 actual movies, but it was a series of shows. They were about a half an hour apiece. And basically, all it was, join the Army, be what you can be. And I can't remember what the actual slogan was back then, but it was similar to what we got now. Then we took and really got into doing what we had to do. And yes, everything I was doing up till that point was cover-up. They wanted to see what I had, what I could do. One of the things was, I can talk about it now because everybody has them, almost. I say almost everybody. Let's put it this way, the kids, the drones. They may start out with a little drone like this, and pretty soon they got the drone like that they can go all over the place and take all kinds of pictures with. Well, I was on the Forerunner. We didn't have GPS systems. We didn't have a lot of the stuff you do now. So we used helicopters as drones. We placed our cameras, one on each side and one in the nose. So you'd have 3 cameras, you'd have 3 monitors down below, you'd be watching, and we flew one all the way around Washington, D.C. that way. And back then, something like that was absolutely out of this world. People couldn't believe that we were doing that. Well, before television, people couldn't believe we could just have movies right here in our home on that little box. But the unbelievable became believable. And this is kind of like the things that I do. Went to Camp Desert Rock. I was a guinea pig there for the atomic bomb. And I got radiated pretty heavily, and well, it actually singed my hair. You could just actually feel it. Well, I was standing on a precipice. I was supposed to be in a trench, and the wind changed to the or something. Don't know exactly what it was. They moved us. We were about 8 miles from ground zero, but we were up on a high precipice where we could almost look straight out and see the device they were going to explode. And when it went off, we had our back toward it, and I could actually, with my eyes closed, buried like that, I could see the shadow of my bones. That's how bright they are. It is, I would say, like standing outside. A gust of wind, when you're outside, if it's doing about 60 miles an hour and hits you, you're probably going to go down, unless you know what to do and you know what's coming. The echo's even worse. Off the mountains, you have the echo come back. If it comes back reinforcing the main blast, it's going to be even worse. I saw a 300-pound colonel get kicked on his rear. The first blast came across, he went down. He went to get up, the next one, down again. You want to talk about someone being angry? He thought we did it. We hadn't even touched him. Well, I was there for 3 total tests, but I was only close for 1. And 30-some miles away for another, and then we was about 60 miles, but the fallout came right across us. But I walked that area down in that area. Well, the main blast that I was in, when we went back to get the truck out, there was no trench. That's where we would have been. There was no trench, and a boulder that was taller than me when I'm standing, it was moved against the truck. So the tonnage that blast moved was something. So A-bombs are nothing to play with. So you don't want to be at ground zero when one goes off. Basically, they spit on me. That's the way I take it. So I don't want to remember the day I got back. It wasn't good. It just wasn't good. I mean, you serve to keep the country free. And people have a way of expressing themselves, which is fine. But when they come down to cuss you out for serving, that's not fine. If you don't talk about it, it sits and festers, and you don't really live a good life. That's why when I came back shortly afterwards and everything, I started talking about it. Because I didn't want it to sit in my craw. The only thing that sit in my craw is the fact that my family basically spit on me. And you couldn't, I couldn't, if I tried talking about it, it was passed off. And after I got out of the service, I continued on in communications and television work. In communications, I became a troubleshooter. So basically, that's my life in a nutshell, and jumping around and having fun.
Having the privilege to take vet doc is something that has completely changed my life, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And I have been lucky enough to meet Jerald in person and to be able to make a deeper connection with him through that. And he is the kind of person that when he walks in the room, the whole room lights up and everybody gets a smile on their face just from him. He brings such a positive attitude, and he just makes everyone laugh in the room, and he's just such a joyful person. And he has taught me to appreciate every single day of life, because he has been through so many hard things, so many things that I couldn't even imagine like going through, and through the end he's positive and he just makes everyone else smile. And he has taught me to work really hard, but through that to have fun and to smile and to make others laugh, because you never know what someone else is going through. And through all that he's been through, he's still able to talk about it, and he tries to help other veterans open up to talk about it so they can heal as well. So he not only talks about his own story, but he helps others open up and talk about theirs. And he has taught me, I never could have imagined that I would have a veteran teaching me how to enjoy life. But he has changed how I see every single day, and he has changed how I treat every single person that I meet. He's completely changed my life, and being able to work on his documentary has taught me things that I never could have learned anywhere else. I am beyond grateful for being able to connect with Jerald and being able to work on his documentary. And this class, the Harlem Veteran Project Vet Doc, is something that has made an impact on me that nothing else could have. And it has been the highlight of my senior year, even through everything negative that has gone on in the last couple months, even through the whole shutdown. Being able to come in and to finish this documentary gives me hope and gives me a light that I couldn't get anywhere else. The joy that I have gotten from doing this and the way that it has changed my life is so great, and I have Jerald to thank for all of that. So thank you, Jerald, for your service and for letting me work on your documentary, and thank you to all veterans for your service to our country, and please keep sharing your story.